Good morning, my dear NEETPG aspirants. Last moment before exam, everything is cramped. We want to read the most high yielding content in the shortest period of time. So, I want to help you to achieve that level of perfection. 500 high yield topics, 5 minutes each. Tomorrow's exam, all the questions 100% are going to come from these 500 high yield topics. So let us start one of the favorite topic, ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency, which is a urea cycle enzyme. So how will be the clinical vignette of the examiner? 10-day-old boy brought for poor feeding, lethargy, vomiting, irritability, hypotonia, hepatomegaly. What is very classical in the laboratory, doctor? High ammonia. That gives clue that this is a urea cycle defect. Low citrulline in the blood, high orotic acid in the urine. So, quickly, what are the 5 6 points about ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency? The most common urea cycle disorder, OTC. Type of inheritance, X-linked recessive. And what is it because of ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency? Why do you need that? Because for the breakdown and the removal of the nitrogen in the urea cycle, you need that. So if you look at the first step of urea cycle, fundamentally, it is the ammonia carbon dioxide convert into carbamyl phosphate. OTC then combines carbamyl phosphate with ornithine to form citrulline. And that will allow the entry into the remainder of the urea cycle. So suppose if there is any defect, all right, if there is any, so you can see here, the bicarb ammonia plus 2 ATP combine to form carbamyl phosphate. Carbamyl phosphate will enter by combining ornithine to form citrulline. So entry into urea cycle for the carbamyl phosphate occur because of the courtesy goes to ornithine transcarbamylase. Suppose if this is deficient, then the carbamyl phosphate cannot enter the uh, into the urea cycle. So all that carbamyl phosphate will get converted into orotic acid, and that lead to excessive amount of orotic acid. That is what you see in the laboratory. So if you look here, typically the lab findings will be given as low citrulline, high orotic acid. Obviously, if ornithine cannot become citrulline, citrulline levels will be low and orotic acid levels will be high, which is a very important clue to say that it is the ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency. So it all leads to accumulation of ammonia, decreased citrulline in the blood. Obviously, ammonia cannot be detoxified easily through the urea cycle anymore. So that leads to development of hyperammonemia. And excess carbamyl phosphate become orotic acid, which is the part of the pyrimidine synthesis pathway. Now, typically, whenever there is any hyperammonemia, there is a CNS depression. And typically, patients will have poor suckling, vomiting, lethargy, irritability, seizures, hypotonia, hepatomegaly, intellectual disability, etc., etc. So one point you need to remember is this carbamyl phosphate synthetase, which converts ammonia into carbamyl phosphate. There are two enzymes, 1 and 2. 1 is there in urea cycle, 2 is there in pyrimidine biosynthesis. Pyrimidine biosynthesis. You can easily remember 1 means little finger. Little finger 1 means urine. Urine means urea cycle. The other one is CPS2 is there in the pyrimidine biosynthesis. This is one of the favorite questions of the examiner. All right. Now you got everything about ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency. Tomorrow's exam, when the question comes, remember me. Then comes orotic aciduria. So what is this, doctor? Basically, if you look at the pyrimidine synthesis, carbamyl phosphate plus aspartate gives rise to carbamyl aspartate. That become dihydroorotate, become orotate, become ornithine, 5-monophosphate, ultimately become uridine 5-monophosphate. In this, there is one step called orotate to orotidine 5-monophosphate. Here, UMP synthase is involved. In few people, this is congenitally deficient. That's the reason they will also have excessive orotate leading to orotic aciduria. So examiner will ask you, what are all the situations where orotic aciduria will be found? One is when UMP synthase deficiency is there. Second situation is when ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency is there also, all that unused carbamyl phosphate will get pushed into forming too much of orotic acid. But here, orotic acid plus hyperammonemia will be there if it were to be ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency. Whereas if it were to be congenital orotic aciduria because of the UMP synthase deficiency, you don't have hyperammonemia. So what do you have instead? You don't have pyrimidines produced. If pyrimidine is not there, DNA cannot be produced. If the DNA is not there, megaloblastic anemia will be there. So that is the reason orotic aciduria presents with megaloblastic anemia, failure to thrive. But hyperammonemia, which you see in OTC deficiency, is not a feature of orotic aciduria. This is what you need to remember. So, doctor, I have given the WhatsApp study group link below. Be part of our WhatsApp study group. Almost 20,000 students are there in our various WhatsApp study groups. Day by day, it is growing. So be part of it. Download the Score Learning app and enjoy your preparation with Dr. Murli Bharadwaj.